Qualifying is one of the most important steps within the sales process. Now, matter of fact, it's probably the most essential step simply because it allows you to determine, it allows you to investigate and evaluate their mentality. What type of situation did they have in the past? What situation do they have today? What are they looking for? How can we sell them a policy? How can we help them lead with insurance today? And most importantly, we're going to ask a few questions. The answers that we obtain, we're going to use that information to tailor a presentation. This presentation is going to be good enough for them to lead with insurance, for them to purchase a policy with us today. So qualifying is very essential. Matter of fact, it's mandatory for you to be detailed, for you to investigate. Don't accept any vague responses. Everything has to be detailed. They have to give you the information that we're looking for. If they don't give you the information that we're looking for, you're going to have to rephrase the question or ask them in different ways until you actually obtain that information. Now, within the qualifying process, you're going to ask a few questions. These questions are going to help us understand, determine, and also set up our presentation. Now, question number one, are you ready today? Now, it's our responsibility to determine the level of how ready they are to make a decision today. So you're going to rephrase the question minimum of 3 times within the qualifying process. The qualifying process is going to take you 5 to 10 minutes. So within this 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to ask them if they're ready to make a decision today. So you can rephrase it by using the following statements or using the following questions. If the price is right, are you willing to leave with insurance today? Was your goal and intention to leave with a policy today? Are you able to make a payment so you can actually leave with insurance today? Do you want to leave with a policy today? Do you want to leave with insurance today? So all of these questions are focused on testing their honesty to make sure that they give us the same response. If they don't give us the same response, then we have to look into the situation to determine what do they mean. But within this question, you have to ask minimum of 3 times. You're testing their honesty. You are responsible to determine if they're ready or not, simply because the approach that we're going to take is completely different. If they're not ready today, we're going to offer a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. We're going to give them an LB and reschedule them. If they're ready today, we're going to offer a lot of value, a lot of information, and we're going to tailor a presentation to close them today. Now, if their response is no, I'm not ready today, then you need to look into the situation to determine why not. You need to know why are they giving you that response. So simply find out if it's based on finances. Maybe they don't have any money today. Maybe they have a policy and the policy is not due until next week or next month. Maybe they're shopping around for someone else. Maybe they're shopping around for a car that they still haven't purchased, or maybe a car that they're gonna start using within the near future. Whatever the situation is, maybe they're shopping around and their intentions are to collect 10 quotes from 10 different agencies before they make their decision. It's your job to determine why are they telling you that they're not ready today. It's mandatory. The second question, do you have insurance? Now, within the question of having insurance, they're either going to tell you yes or no. So those are 2 different questions or 2 groups of questions that you're going to be asking. If they tell you, yes, I have insurance, then you need to find out what company do they have, how much is their monthly payment, when is the due date, what information do they have on their policy, and find out if it matches with the information that they're giving us. Have they added or made any changes within the last 30 days, for instance? Have they had any situations, any negatives with the agency or with the company? And also, are they looking for something lower or they're looking for better service? Now, this group of questions are going to determine what approach we're going to use to help them leave with insurance today. Now, are they looking for something lower or they're looking for better service? All of these questions are designed for you to understand exactly what mentality do they have, what are they looking for, how can we sell them a policy. Now, there's a lot of customers that maybe they're not looking for a better rate, they're just looking for service. Maybe they didn't obtain the service and information within the other agency. They're not going to disclose it, but it's your job to investigate to determine. Now, we are going to need to know the company, the quantity of the monthly payment, and the due date, simply because we're going to use that on our presentation. And also, if they have a payment that's due within the next 5 to 7 or even 10 days, that gives us a little bit of urgency, simply because they should have the money because the payment is due within a couple of days. So once again, make sure to ask all of these questions. Now, if the answer is no, I do not have insurance, you're still going to ask a group of questions. You're going to ask them, when was the last time they had insurance? What company did they have? How much was their monthly payment? Why did the policy cancel? Do they have the same information that they had when they had the other policy, or have they made any changes? Also, did they encounter any issues with the previous policy, with the previous agency, with the previous company that they had before? Have their payments increased at any moment? Did their payments go up? Is that the reason why the policy got canceled? You're going to ask all of these questions to determine what situation they had in the past. Now, there's going to be a lot of other segments where I talk about using that information to set up a presentation, but it's important for you to understand what type of situation they had in the past, simply because most likely they're looking for something similar. So if they were paying $60 a month, most likely they're looking for $60 a month today. So it allows you to have an understanding of the situation they had before. It allows you to understand what situation they have today, what are they looking for, and how can we sell them a policy. The following question, you're going to ask them if they have been shopping around. Have they shopped around? Have they obtained any other quotes with other agencies or other companies? And if they have, what company? Who gave them the lowest one? Was it over the phone? Was it in person? How did they treat them? You're going to ask them a little bit of information, because we're going to most likely have to eliminate the options that they obtained while shopping around. Regardless if it was accurate or if it was a low ball, we're still going to have to justify before we give them our options. Simply because if someone gave them $60 a month and the lowest option that we have is $90, if you give them $90, they're going to tell you, thank you very much, let me go to the other place because they gave me something lower. So before we give them the $90, we're going to eliminate, justify that those $60 are not realistic. So it's very important to ask them if they've been shopping around. Was it over the phone? Was it in person? How much information did they give them? Did they run the record? Did they run their information? Did they explain the coverages? So you start asking so many questions to put a little bit of a concern on the quote that they obtained. You're going to put doubt in their thoughts simply because they didn't run the information, or just simply they didn't ask all the questions that we're asking, which is very important to give them an option that's realistic. You're going to ask them if they're legally married, or if they live with a partner, with a spouse. Do they have any proof of residency or proof of marriage? Just in case one of them is excluded, most likely we're going to need to get some sort of proof of residency in the future. So you start reviewing this from the beginning. You emphasize that there's a discount, a marriage discount, but they're going to require proof of residency. And from the beginning, you already know if this discount is a discount that we could offer, and if it's not, then we don't even bring it up and we don't discuss it within the presentation. Do they have a checking account? It's very important. Everybody forgets to ask, do they have a checking account? Do they have their information with them? Do they have a debit? Do they have the debit card with them? All of this information is essential simply because it allows us to know how can they make payments. Maybe we could convince them on using their EFT for electronic payments. Electronic payments technically mean that the company is going to deduct the payment automatically every single month. But it also allows you to know, and this is something that we keep in mind whenever we are given the down payment, if they have a debit card or credit card, then at least we know there's a different method of making a payment today. So we know we could possibly use it to charge the initial payment or to leave a balance in case we're going to leave a balance. But it's very important. Do you have a checking account? If EFT is an option of them deducting the payment from your checking account, would you be okay using your checking account for them to deduct the payment? And also, do you have the information with you? So you need to ask from the beginning. Don't assume simply because they have a checking account, they're going to be okay using it for electronic payments. Don't assume that simply because they told you, yes, I have a checking account, that they have the information with them or that they have the debit card. You want to ask them in the beginning. They have no clue why you're asking, but you're going to use that information towards the end. Now, these are some of the questions that you're going to be asking on every single situation, especially if they're ready today. Now, there's going to be a specific and detailed segments on each question where we'll be elaborating on the reason why we ask them and how we're going to use that information on our presentation. But it's crucial for you to follow all of these questions, ask them, obtain the information. Don't accept any vague responses simply because the qualifying process is going to help us set up our presentation, and this presentation is the one we're going to use to sell them the policy.